You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Today is Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, and this is your daily Star Trek news from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. On today's show, Star Trek Discovery is nearing the end of Season 4 production. Women at Warp announce a new podcast festival celebrating diverse voices, and I've got this week's Trek trivia. I'm Alison, Pitt, and today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month of counseling at betterhelp.com/DSTN. Filming may still be underway in Toronto for Star Trek Discovery's 4th season, but two key milestones were recently announced by series producers that indicate that the Paramount Plus tentpole streamer is entering the production home stretch. On Friday, executive producer Michelle Paradise announced via her Twitter feed that the final script for Discovery's 4th season is complete. Posting a partial screenshot of a document featuring the words "End of Season 4", Paradise commented, "A long journey to type these words, but here they are. #Star Trek Discovery." Then just 2 days later, Discovery executive producer and director Olatunde Osunsanmi shared a similar tweet showing a slightly different document but featuring the same 4 words and announcing, "The shot list for the Season 4 finale is complete. Can't wait to start shooting." Production for Season 4 of Discovery began back in November and was slated to finish on June 10th. But it was halted temporarily in April when a key person associated with the show tested positive for COVID-19. There's been no announcement from CBS whether they will still meet that June wrap date, but having scripts in place and shot lists drawn up is certainly a good sign that pre-production continues apace. Now, while you're waiting for more details on Star Trek Discovery Season 4, which is slated to premiere later this year, you can catch up on the first 3 seasons of the show, now streaming on Paramount Plus. Last week, our fellow Roddenberry Star Trek podcast, Women at Warp, announced the launch of the inaugural IDIC Podcast Festival, honoring the principle behind the classic Vulcan expression, infinite diversity in infinite combinations. The weekend-long event is scheduled to take place July 17th through 18th, 2021, and will focus on celebrating and amplifying the diverse voices of the Star Trek fandom. Now, for those unfamiliar with the podcast, Women at Warp is a groundbreaking bi-weekly podcast on the Roddenberry Podcast Network, committed to examining Star Trek from an intersectional feminist perspective. As the increasing number and diverse content of Star Trek podcasts has grown during the COVID-19 pandemic, the crew of Women at Warp saw an opportunity to bring the underrepresented communities of the Star Trek fandom together for an all-inclusive weekend celebration. From the festival announcement, as an intersectional podcast, we know that women's issues are inextricably connected to issues of race and class, LGBT issues, disability issues, and more. The transformative period that we are in gives us an opportunity to truly center voices from all these diverse communities in our fandom. For podcasters interested in participating, all podcasts showcasing diversity in their hosting lineup are invited to apply, even those podcasts that don't exclusively feature Star Trek content. Podcasts joining the event will be allotted 1 hour to record their panel live during the event. The deadline for podcasters to submit applications is Friday, June 18th, just 1 month from now. Podcasts selected to participate will be contacted by June 28th, with a full schedule for the weekend posted July 5th. For fans looking to watch the weekend's festivities, the good news is that admission is free. The IDIC Podcast Festival will take place from 12 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on July 17th and 18th. For more information, visit the festival event page at womenatwarp.com/IDIC-fest. You can also direct inquiries via email to crew@womenatwarp.com. And be sure to find the Women at Warp podcast on podcasts.roddenberry.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, I've got Trek Trivia Tuesday here in just a moment, but first, a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online counseling service that aims to get you the help you need in a way that suits you. If there's something standing in the way between you and a more happy life, then maybe BetterHelp can help. When you sign up for BetterHelp, they ask you about you, and they use that information to find a licensed professional therapist tailored to your needs. Depression, sleep issues, and anxiety are just some of the areas they specialize in, but they also have counselors who can coach you through family conflicts, self-esteem issues, or even LGBT matters. Whatever it is you need, you can start living a happier life today. And as a daily Star Trek News listener, you can get 10% off your first month of counseling by visiting betterhelp.com/DSTN. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DSTN. And now, it's Trek Trivia Tuesday. Did you know the Star Trek Voyager episode Death Wish was the first episode of that series to feature crossover characters from Star Trek The Next Generation? In the episode, a member of the Q Continuum, later dubbed Quinn, asks Captain Janeway for asylum. It seems he wants to commit suicide, which his fellow Q, who have held him in captive in an asteroid for 300 years, won't allow. A hearing follows with our old familiar Q as the prosecutor calling a number of witnesses. Among the witnesses were Sir Isaac Newton, Maury Ginsburg, and Commander William Riker. Q's aim was to prove that Quinn's life has changed history for the better, and he should therefore not be allowed to die. So now, a trivia question for you. At the hearing, Newton testifies that Quinn knocked an apple out of a tree, thereby giving him the idea to develop his law of gravity. Ginsburg says that when his van broke down, Quinn gave him a lift to the Woodstock Music Festival, where he found and repaired a disconnected sound cable that would have ruined the whole event. But why did Q call Riker as a witness? Find out on Friday's episode of Daily Star Trek News. Well, that's it for today's Daily Star Trek News from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Don't forget to check out the other great shows on the network at podcasts.roddenberry.com. Daily Star Trek News is produced by me, Alison Pitt, and written by Chris Peterson and Jack Brown, with trivia by T. Rick Jones. Today's show was sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month of counseling at betterhelp.com/DSTN. I'm back tomorrow with more of the Star Trek news you need to know, and This Week in Trek History. I'm Alison Pitt. Live long and prosper.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.